Mm-hmm. 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 So what do we got here? What do we got here? In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger and exalted Christ. And I further bear witness that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is the extension of the Son of Man. I would like to greet every brother and sister with the greeting words of peace, which we say in the Arabic language, Assalamu alaikum. Peace and blessings, family. This is your brother, Knowledge 5845 on the gram, author determined to change, student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, by the way of the eternal leader, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. I could never thank Allah enough for appearing in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, to whom praise is due forever. I pray to Allah God that every brother and sister is alive and well on this Wednesday early evening. All praise is due to Allah, man. Brothers and sisters, um, I thank Allah for having the opportunity to be able to come in front of you, amongst you, another day. Having that opportunity, and I want to share some things with you. I want to share some things with you real quick, if I may. This was on my heart, and I want us to understand as Black people, and not only Black people in particular, but human beings, period. I want us to understand. I want us to be able to understand how we can clean up our condition as human beings, as people, how we can receive better results in our own personal lives. We all go through things, and where you at in your current situation, wherever you at in your present life, does not dictate who you are as a person. Let me first of all say that. A lot of time we tend to look at our current condition, and even though if we've made drastic decisions, it's not that we're making excuses, but I think if we continue to understand the reality of how things function in the universe, we'll be able to clean ourselves up. We'll be able to make better decisions, and we'll be able to self-improve our own personal condition. When we meet people, when people come into our lives, a lot of things we're tied to. A lot of things we're tied to that make some people leave our life, make some people come into our life. And it's not always the person. They're dealing with what they're dealing with, and we have to look in the mirror, and we have to be able to face what's staring back out at us, and we're dealing with what we have to deal with, the things that have shaped us as individuals. And this is a deep study. This is a heavy deep study. And come on in if you have time. I know I usually go live in the morning, but I literally been I talked to my mother this morning on the phone, and I talked to my mom for like 2 hours, man. And I talked to my father on the phone. I talked to a couple of friends on the phone, and I just think about everything that is going on in people's lives, what's going on in my life. When I look at people with what they're going through on social media, listen, there is no way that we can escape. Man, listen to this. There is no way that we can escape the spiritual world. No matter if you accept it in that sense and say, well, you know what? I don't believe in the spookism and all that. Spirituality is not spookism. Spirituality is very, very real. Have we ever considered Have we ever took time out to really do a thorough research on what spirituality is? And of course, y'all already know I'm a student in the Nation of Islam. I'm a registered member, registered FOI member of the Nation of Islam, under the life-giving teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, guided and taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And I say that so proudly. And the more and more I study, the more and more I reflect on my life, the more and more I shrink myself. I shrink myself because the more I see certain problems in myself, I connect them to my people. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that he has a love for Black people in general, in particular. He said, but I have a love that extends my breast to the human family. If we look at the personal pain that we all go through, we have to know it has to be something in you that goes further than yourself, something beyond you to make you say, you know what, man, not only do I want to find correction for myself, but I want to be able to find correction for others, because we're all connected in some type of way. Energy is not created nor destroyed. Energy is only transferred. So when we start reflecting our life, Walaikum salam, brother Joshua Stoney on YouTube. I'm on my YouTube page too, brothers and sisters that's on IG. I'm going live on my YouTube. So if you see me looking back and forth like this, then that means that my YouTube is open too. But my platforms, I utilize my platforms. We get up here, we have a good time. We enjoy one another. But the main mission and assignment for my platforms is to get us to reflect on ourselves, get us to understand self-improvement. That is the greatest medicine. That is the greatest power that we can put forth and utilize while we are here on this earth. Self-improvement. Man, we can have a conversation. You can talk to anybody on the phone. And once you start telling them about reflecting in themselves, you will see a person feeling good. Even though a lot of times we don't want to look at the things inside of ourselves. Sometimes we don't want to see it because we're afraid to see what's staring back at us. Come on, y'all know it. Yeah, let's have a real dialogue today. Let's conversate today. Let's actually have it today, because we lose people in our life. I got a real good friend of mine who just called me, told me he lost his mother. Now, my mom is still here. What can I say to him? I know what it feels like to lose a child. I lost my son, but I never lost a mother. So I had to tell him, brother, man, my mom is still here. So I can't tell you, I understand about your mother, but I understand about losing a loved one that's so close. So how do we deal with that? Do we use our emotions and just throw everything away? All of the feelings and forces that we have inside of us, do we just say, oh, I just lost the love of my life, I don't care about nothing anymore? This is why it is important. Self-improvement. Self-improvement covers every spectrum of life. Oh, man, I need y'all to hear what I'm saying, please. This is why I'm so amazed every time I think about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I said, man, God has allowed me to be in the midst of such a beautiful human being, supernatural. To be a human being and the essence and the lessons and the morals and principles to come out of a vessel, to receive and to literally feel comfort from the words and wisdom from the things that he speak. I'm talking about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. A lot of us say, oh, he's a madman. Don't you know that they said that about the prophets in the scriptures? Don't you know that the masses of the people, when they will hear the prophets, they will look at the prophets and say, oh, he's a madman. But they're not madmen. They're they're passionate. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan say, most of us do not even know what a true man of God or a true woman of God looks like. That's not to degrade us, but that's a reality. Man, when you're talking about becoming a God-fearing person, you have to go through some stuff. Some things are going to happen to you to where you're going to question God and say, what did I do? What did I do to lose a loved one so close to me? What did I do to lose my home? What did I do to get this disease? God, what did I do? We have so many questions. But God, he give us answers through human beings if you patient enough. If you become patient enough, but it takes knowledge. It takes a certain consciousness to be patient. Oh man, we talking today. God is on me today. It takes a certain observation to understand what's patient, how to be patient. So when we talk about self-improvement, listen to what the title of the live is. As I was studying this morning, as I talked to my mother, I talked to my father, I talked to my friends, I talked to one of my close friends and gave me news that his mother had passed away. As I was preparing for this live, he called me and said, man, and I could hear it in his voice. He said, man, I called her to tell you that my mom passed. I was preparing to go live. And he said, man, I called you because ever since I've been knowing you, we did time in prison together. We was cellmates for 6 years. 6 years we were cellies. And he said, man, I called you. And I listened to him as he cried. And he said, I called you, brother, because I need to listen to you. I need to hear something. And as he said that, I immediately, quickly went into prayer. I said, Allah, give me the right things to say to soothe his spirit. And as he kept speaking to me, as I started to speak to him, I was preparing for this live. And the name of the live is Spirituality is Having a Consciousness of Natural Human Principles. I want y'all to hear me, please. Spirituality is having a consciousness of natural human principles. This doesn't have anything to do with a title of what we've been taught. See, soon as we go into the things that we've been taught, we lose it all. I need you to hear me, family. I need you to hear me, because we have so many divisions and so many titles and so many ideologies to where we are so caught up in the titles to where we confuse ourselves, and in our own personal life we struggle. But struggle and pain is not always punishment. My. Allahu Akbar. Pain is not always punishment. That's why spirituality is so important. That's why understanding what spirituality is so important. Listen to this. As I thought about spirituality is having a consciousness of natural human principles, I had to go and look at the definition. What does principle mean? Principle is a fundamental truth or proposition that serves as a foundation for a system of belief or behavior or for a chain of reasoning. See, more important than the system of belief. See, a lot of people can be thrown off by the system of belief because if we just hear system of belief, then that still waters down the essence of what spirituality is because of the things that we've been taught and shaped in a world. But as we go further, looking at the definition of principle, listen to what it says. A fundamental truth. So everybody say, everybody has their truth. That's true. Everybody does have their truth. But the reality of it is, does that make it true? I need y'all to hear me, family. I need you to hear me. Does that make it true? Because everyone has their right to their truth. Oh, man. Look at the wisdom of God. Look at the mercy of God in the human being. Well, if we all have our own truth, how will we know if we are in God's favor? Or how will we know if we are aligned correctly with the laws of the universe? How will we know? Principles is a fundamental truth or proposition that serves as a foundation for a system of belief. We already talked about the system of belief. Everybody can have a different system of belief. But listen to the next thing. Or behavior. Now the human being has to bear witness to aligning itself to the laws of the universe. And what is the mission of the laws of the universe? What is the mission? What is more higher than the human being? What is more important in the universe than the reality of a human being? Oh man, I need you to hear this, please. The behavior for a chain of reasoning. A chain of reasoning. We all reason for actions that we put forth. I don't care how you've been taught. I don't care how you've been raised. In your behavior is reasoning. But what is the reasoning taking you to? Oh, man, please. Listen, brothers and sisters, listen. We're talking about spirituality is having a consciousness of natural human principles, okay? Now, we're talking about self-improvement. This is what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan have given us in the Nation of Islam, self-improvement. For y'all that don't follow him, I'm not trying to put this in your face. I'm not trying to force you to say, oh, he's in the Nation of Islam. I'm trying to get you to see something. I'm trying to get you to see the essence of life itself. What is the reasoning for self-improvement? The reason for self-improvement is God's natural protection of reproduction. Did you hear that? Do you understand that? Self-improvement is God's natural protection of reproduction. How can we produce ourselves if we don't respect ourselves? We get on drugs. The body doesn't take too well to drugs, drinking. Your liver fails. Your pancreas fails due to alcohol. So the body is saying, no, don't give me that. But since we've been shaped in a world, we've been shaped in ideologies, we've been shaped in influences and persuasions, we've been shaped in all of these things. So the reality of our existence is able to judge what law we fall into, despite whatever you believe. I hope that makes sense. We're talking about spirituality have a consciousness of natural human principles. So when people say, "Oh, I don't connect to any religion. I'm just a spiritual person." We have to be careful when we say that. Because when we say I'm just a spiritual person, first we have to know what is the definition of that. What does that actually mean? To be spiritual, what does that mean? What does that mean? So does that mean by me being spiritual, I have my own laws in my mind that I don't have to submit to any instruction? So that means that you're just going to learn on the fly. You're going to learn as you grow. But the shaping of iniquity provides you with information that comes into your reality every single day. Why do you think that God have given mercy to the black man and woman in America? Oh, I need y'all to hear me. Why do you think so? Because a system of the information that we're receiving, it shapes us. So we look at the condition and we get angry with our people and say, why are we not learning? Why do we always have to be ignorant? Why are we always getting the short end of the stick? I'm talking about the black man and woman, man. We got to get to the root of it. We got to get to the core of it. So when we find ourselves arguing with one another, we find ourselves arguing with our family, we find ourselves making the wrong decisions in life, that's because we're still learning the process and the function of God's natural protection of reproduction. Listen, when we get off into things, what is the quickest way that we learn through stuff? Through pain, right? We learn a lot quicker through pain because it forces us to pay attention to everything that's coming now. You ever notice when something goes wrong or you in a bind, you in a hole, everything becomes more conscious. You're slow to make decisions because now you're already in a hole. So now you slow down your decision making. Okay, I'm already behind the 8 ball. So everything that comes in my life, I have to be more aware. I have to be more conscious because I'm already behind. I'm already feeling pain. So whatever comes in front of me, I have to be able to strive to make the best decision so I don't feel any more pain deeper than what I'm already feeling. Spirituality is real. Spirituality is self-improvement. When people say, oh, I'm just a spiritual person. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. So that means if you're a spiritual person, I don't have to wait until I get married to have sex, or I don't have to do this, or I don't have to do that. See, all of that waiting to get married to have sex, why is that? Some people say, oh man, we can have 5 or 6 wives, or I can do what I want to do. I'm not tied to nothing. That's very dangerous. It's a protection. Because you're trying to protect the spirituality. You're trying to protect self-improvement. One thing that we learn when we get ourselves in a bind, we learn how to respect ourselves, man. We learn how to protect ourselves. When we go through something, when we're being chastised by God, we learn if we survive. If we survive it, we come out on the other end, we learn to respect what? We learn to respect ourselves. How do we learn to respect ourselves? By being more conscious on the decisions that we make. Okay, I know my emotions is arising. We about to go have some fun. We about to go do this. But we got to slow down and say, wait a minute. What's going to come out of this if I do this? That's spirituality. That's self-improvement. That's protecting yourself. That's protecting yourself. So look at what I was reading in the Quran. I want y'all to listen to what I was reading in the Quran this morning. Oh man. It's talking about the devil's opposition to man. Now, see, when we talk about the word devil, we talk about man, all of these are words so we can identify the reality of our existence. It's not to think about a devil and think about the image that they gave us through cartoons and through movies and all this stuff. Devil is a identification of an entity of a real reality. It's for us to reflect and say, okay, a devil, not to look and say, oh, the white man is the devil, because the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, I did not reveal, or I did not share what was revealed to me by God. I did not give you the wisdom of the white man to say he's a devil, to make fun of that. He said, because he can easily say that he came from who? You, the original man. He said, he can easily say that he came from you. Who's to blame? The potter or the clay? So when we get drunk and saying, oh, the white man is the devil, we forget about ourselves. We forget about the essence of ourselves. So when we talk about the devil's opposition to man, what does that really mean? That means to be more conscious of the force that is inside yourself and make sure that you protect yourself from that force that is inside of yourself, to be more aware of that force that is inside of yourself, and you have to be conscious of that force that is inside of yourself, because if you're not conscious of the force inside of yourself, it becomes a devil. It takes over. And we say, I'm not Christian, and I'm not Muslim, or I'm not this, I'm not that. I'm just spiritual. But even being spiritual, you have a responsibility. We all have a responsibility to self-improve. We lose a loved one that's close to us. We are not to spiral all out of control in an emotion. We have emotion. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us that God has emotion, but God doesn't live. He doesn't lead with his emotion. He has them, just as you and I. We have emotion. But there are three different stages of consciousness of the human being. You have a beast stage, a human stage, and a God stage. Huh? A beast stage is when the Lord desires. We don't have any control over the low desires in ourselves. There is no control over it. So whatever pleasure that is hanging around in the low desire department, when it arises, we go ahead and suffice it. We go ahead and meet it. See, pleasure doesn't have the knowledge to know if it's good or bad. Oh, did y'all hear me? Pleasure doesn't have that. It's just a force. I just said that all pain is not chastisement, but all pleasure is not good. And all pleasure is not a reward. We're talking about spirituality is having a conscience of natural human principles. So when we talk to one another, this is what we're going to have to get closer to. When the minister say, I'm a Christian, and when I ask the minister, what are you? Are you a Christian or a Muslim? When the minister Farrakhan say, I'm all of them, it takes a hell of a skill. A lot of people reject that ideology of what him saying, I'm all of them. That's because they don't understand. We're still undeveloped, and he's way far ahead of us when he say, I'm all of them, because he's looking deeply into the principle. He's looking at the core of the law of existing. He's looking at the core of the law of preservation. So when we talk about self-improvement, we're talking about that is God's natural protection of reproduction. You have to, how to eat to live. You have to be able to control your ego, your attitude towards people. Somebody step on your shoe. Your attitude can determine if it's life or death. The way you respond. That's still dealing in a spirituality decisional world that you have to make. God has allowed you to be the leader to make that decision. So somebody step on your shoe, oh man, excuse me. Or even if they don't say excuse me, we make it a big deal. Hey man, you ain't gonna say excuse me? Damn man, you ain't gonna say excuse me? Right then and there, it can be between life and death. We don't know what this person have. We don't know what they're going through in their mind. They can have a gun or anything, and your life is gone like that. You just a memory from a decision. So I don't care what your title is. But this language that I'm talking to you right now, this goes for everybody. You can't escape this. This is beyond a title. This goes further than a title. Everybody on this live right now can agree right now that, yeah, he's right. What he's talking about, no human being can escape that law. I don't care what your color is. I don't care what your height is. I don't care how much you weigh. You're dealing with a behavior for reasoning. This is the reality of God. In every human being, no matter what your language is or whatever, we all function on that plane. No matter if we're conscious of it or not, it's there. So as I was reading the Holy Quran, listen to what this said, because I want to tie this into our own personal life. Everything we get on this social media, we take pictures with a lot of money. We take pictures in front of a car. It may be our car. We may take pictures in front of a big old mansion. It may be our mansion. But as a human being, you cannot tell me that there is not something in your life that is a thorn in your side. You can't tell me that. So no matter what condition you are in this life, if you in existence, what is the best thing for us to do to find the solution to the problem or to the thorn that's in our side? We have to do what? We have to search for the medicine. We have to search for the solution to the problem that we have that the world may not see, because we know how to hide it from them. We want everybody to think that everything is cool. We want everybody to think that, oh, everything is well. Oh, I'm doing good. Oh, I'm doing this. Oh, I'm doing that. Oh, I'm having it my way. But it's something. I might not know it. Let me tell you something, man. And it all goes back to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan while I'm speaking. Because he's the first one. When I was doing 15 years in a federal penitentiary, he's the first one I've ever heard say that tricking the mind is playing with truth. The first time I heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan say tricking the mind is playing with truth, I had to stop. I said, wait a minute. Tricking the mind is playing with truth. So that means that your mind, not your brain, not the things that you learn, not the things that shape your brain. Oh, I need you to hear me. See, the brain and the mind are two different things. They're not the same thing. They're not the same thing. So when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan says, tricking the mind is playing with truth. So that means that your mind is truth. No matter what you've been programmed to believe, the mind is created naturally in truth. So the mind is going to start bearing witness in your existence. When something is wrong, the laws that we are abiding by, what we've been taught, we're going to run into problems. We're going to run into problems that need to be solved. Does that make sense? Does that make sense, family? Listen to what this says in the Holy Quran. Satan was talking to God. They was having a conversation. Oh, I need y'all to hear me. Listen to this. Listen to this. And Satan said, respite me to the day when they are raised. It said, respite me, meaning give me an opportunity, give me time, respite me, give me time. So that's talking about a force that's inside of us that has shaped us against our true nature, which is truth and righteousness. But it will come a time where that force will have to reveal itself. It's going to have to reveal itself because now there's another truth that has come in, which is already in us, but it has activated. It's activated. So now everything that we've been taught, now we're starting to judge. We have to judge ourselves, but that judgment, the day of resurrection, is called the day of resurrection. You're starting to activate. You're starting to become conscious. You're starting to resurrect. Something inside of you is starting to judge the forces inside. Now you're not just hurry up doing nothing no more. Now you're contemplating before you make the move. I can't just move like that like I used to. I got children. I have children now. Can I just go over there? What's the consequences of going over there? What's the consequences of staying out this late at night? What's the so-and-so, so-and-so? So God bring things in our life that we don't even think about twice. That are mercies that make us double think a situation. And mainly, more times than not, for the majority, it's our children. Oh, I can't do that no more, man. I got children. Oh, I can't stay out there late. I gotta go. I got children. Oh man, so-and-so called you a hoe. You finna prove a point? Man, I ain't worried about it. Words don't get me. I gotta make it back home. I got responsibilities. I got children. See, God is being merciful. God is raising things naturally. Those are spiritual. That's a spirituality there. Because there are principles. It's principles. It's a behavior. It's a way of thinking. So I says spirituality is having a conscious of natural human principles. What are principles? Principles are a fundamental or truth or proposition that serves as a foundation for a system of belief or behavior for a change of reasoning. Now watch this. Look at the second definition of the word principle. A general scientific theorem or law that has numerous special applications across a wide field. What is the wide field? The wide field is your way of thinking. That's the wide field. Huh? See, numerous special applications. A numerous application can be your children. Numerous applications, multiple things that we can apply to make us make the right decision, that make us think about making and choosing the right choice. Because what are we doing? We're protecting ourselves, self-preservation. We're protecting the reproduction of the reality of our existence. Listen to this. The devil's grip continues only so long as man is not spiritually raised. So when some people say, "Oh, I'm not, I don't get into that spookism. I don't get into that spiritual stuff." There is no way that you could go out in the world and succeed. And I'm not talking about succeeding with having materialistic things. I'm saying being able to succeed and be able to pour into another human being, pour into your reproductive system, another reflection of yourself. That's the success that I'm talking about. You have to be able to be spiritually conscious to be able to do so. But the problem is we're understanding the word spirituality from a system that does not even respect our existence. I hope that makes sense. So that goes back to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan saying, if they don't treat you right, what make you think they're going to teach you right? Oh my God. All praise is due to Allah. So how do we escape it? How do we escape the hoodwink, bamboozle, as Malcolm X said? How do we escape that? How do we escape tricking the mind, playing with truth? If everything that we've been taught and shaped is in iniquity because of people who have given us the reality of instructions to breathe on, never care for us ever. So how do we escape it? The only way that we escape it is by self-improvement. Self-improvement. Look at that, man. Beautiful. Self-improvement. Come on, y'all, think about it. We look at all these television shows that they put on TV, Love and Hip Hop. Think about it. When they have auditions, what is the main thing that is going on as you're glued and you're watching this? It's always a fight. It's always a conflict. It's always argument, confusion. And we're glued. Oh, they about to fight. Oh, look. Oh, he finna hit him. Oh, girl, look at her. Oh my God. She getting up. We're glued. We're stuck. We in a trance. What does that do to your existence? Is that protecting you? Does that protect your reproduction system? Does that protect the God to think properly? To make the right decision? No, it doesn't. So when we say that I'm not a Muslim, or I'm not a Christian, or I'm not a Hebrew, or I'm not this, I'm not that. I'm just spiritual. Be careful. You got to be careful. You got to be careful saying that. Because Satan say, oh, that's where I want you. That's a deceptive intelligence inside of ourselves saying, that's where I want you. Oh, yeah. And to be honest, Lord have mercy. Hear me, family. Please hear me, family. To be honest, you're more in danger saying that I'm not nothing. I'm not tied to no Islam. I'm not tied to no Christianity. I'm just a spiritual person. You're more in danger saying that than tying yourself to a Christianity or to an Islam or to a Hebrew Israelite or to a Moor. You're more in danger because Now, there is nothing to reflect even the good things that is inside of all of the different ideologies. See, Satan is very skillful, huh? In order to trick a people with truth, or in order to trick a people with falsehood, you first must know the truth. Satan, the deceptive force in us could not trick us with all falsehood. Come on, think about it. Think about it. It can't trick us with all falsehood. No. So what's going to keep your attention? The little truth that's hanging on, that's mixed with the falsehood. See, that truth is going to keep you clinging right there. Oh, man. I'm talking right now. I'm talking to somebody. This is why the most honorable Elijah Muhammad told the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, you're not ready to deal with Satan at this particular time, brother. But if you remain loyal, if you remain steadfast, I will have you ready to deal. What was he saying? Was he saying, oh, I got to prepare you for the white man? You ain't ready for Satan at this time. That's a part of it, but what is the most important part? Huh? When he told him, you're not ready to deal with Satan at this particular time, what was he really telling him? You're not at the stage right now where you've mastered yourself. That's right, OG Bobby Johnson. I still have to get you to master yourself because it's going to be forces that's going to arise from within. And you have to be a master of skill to control them. So everything that he taught the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, that same application applies to us. I don't care what your title is. That's not important. More important is the preservation of the reality of the human being. Listen to what the Quran says. The devil's grip continues only so long as man is not spiritually raised to life. All that means is if we are not given the proper definition, the proper function of what spirituality is, what's the mission of spirituality? To preserve the human being. How do we preserve the human being? By self-improvement. Not by pointing somebody else's fault out. We don't preserve ourselves like that. In fact, we lose ourselves more when we do that. We get further and further and further away. And let me say this while it's on my mind. I want to talk about addiction. I want to talk about addictions. We talk about breaking habits. The quickest way to an addiction, the quickest way to gain a habit, the quickest way to dig ourselves deeper in a hole is when we find ourselves in a trial. And when we turn away from the trial and we look for something to comfort what the body and the mind and the existence is going through, the body shuts down in a trial. It shuts down. And so we're looking to quickly soothe what the body is feeling. So we turn to drugs, we turn to smoking weed, we turn to snorting coke, we turn to shooting heroin, we turn to whatever it is, we turn to drinking. We turn to these things, and let me tell you, I'm telling you from experience, not from what somebody else told me. I'm telling you what I lived. We turn to sex. We turn to the pleasure because it's a numb feeling. The body and the brain is trying to shut down. You're not able to think properly. You're not able to make the right decision. So we look for the temporary fix. We're looking for the pleasure. The body is calling for pleasure. If something is wrong, I just need the body said, just give me something so I can escape this feeling, this numbness, this trial, this frustration, this pain, this sorrow. And we're looking for something. So we turn to the weed. Oh man, what kind of weed is that? Yeah, let me hit it, man. Let me get that. And then what do? Let me get a little piece. Let me get some liquor, man. Let me get some of that Crown. Let me get some Ciroc. Let me get this. Let me get that. Let's go back to the words of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Tricking the mind is playing with truth. So what do we say? What do we tell ourselves? What do we tell ourselves when we become addicted to something? The first thing we do is we say, I'm not addicted, right? That's the first thing. Oh, I ain't. No, I'm good. I can control it. But the opposite is actually happening. When you say I can control it, you can't control it. Oh, I'm good. You're not good. I got it. You don't got it. Because there's a force inside of you that tricks you and you say, I'm going to just do it one more time. One more turn into 2. 2 turns into 4. 4 turns into 8. 8 turns into 16. 16 turns into 32. 32 turns into 64. And by the time you know it, we've lost ourselves. But we're still hollering, I'm a spiritual person. The devil's grip continues only so long as man is not spiritually raised to life. The raising here stands for the spiritual resurrection of man. So this talking about man and woman, sisters. So when you hear the word man, you don't think that you've escaped this reality. Because we got sisters on the line. This ain't just happening to men. This is happening to women as well. If the resurrection is meant, the significance will be that the devil would mislead man so long as man lives on the earth. What does that mean? If the resurrection is meant, the significance will be that the devil would mislead man, trick you. You're tricking yourself, playing with truth. Mislead man so long as man lives on the earth. What does the earth signifies? The earth is a representation and a symbolism of the lower self. The earth is low to the ground. That's what that representation means. The earth. You have the heaven and the earth. The heaven is up high, not spooky, not when you're looking up in the clouds and you saying, oh, heaven, God is floating in the cloud. He's past the moon, or he's past the stars, or yeah, you keep going past the sun, and then that's where God is at. That's not what that means. Heaven is a symbolism and a representation of a higher self. Earth is a representation of something that is low to the ground. So listen, look at this. So this is why it's important that we find time in our life. Every day, if you can, find some time to make for yourself and start reading the scriptures. And literally start applying. Even if you're not, see, as Muslims, we make salat. As Muslim, we are obligated to make 5 salats a day. Do we make 5 salats a day? I don't know what other people do, but I don't. I strive to, but it's days that I miss. I'm just going to tell you for real. But I tell you what, I want you to hear me. I tell you what. It's been times where I put it in my mind. I get up in the morning, I say, I am determined. I'm going to make all 5 salats today. I'm determined to make them when it is the appropriate time to make those salats. And the times that I have disciplined myself and made them, I literally feel better. I literally feel better throughout that whole day. You make a salat. You come out of it. It's time for another one. You stop anything that you're doing at that time and say, go and make ablution. Go and make wudu, clean yourself, and go show God that you earn his favor while you in existence. Go show God, stop what you're doing and say, hey, I'm about to make salat. Don't you know his blessings in that? Don't you know if you just said something right now, put it on your wall in your room, put it on your door, put it on your refrigerator, give you something that will remind you. What's more important than showing Allah, God, that intelligence inside of you? Since some of us don't say, well, I don't call him Allah. That's fine. I don't call him God. That's fine. You can't escape that intelligence inside of your existence. So let's say you pay attention towards that. Let's say you turn towards that and you're reminded. You keep yourself in remembrance and you pay homage to that. Watch how your day will start going better. Certain situations that you in, problems that you're going through with this person, bills and this and that, you don't know how you're going to pay this. You don't know how you're going to do that. Man, let me tell y'all something. And I'm telling you from experience. You got bills stacked up, people calling, you don't want to answer the phone, and you like, damn, what I'm going to do? I got to hurry up and get this money. I got to get this money over here. Watch this right here, and I want you to hear me. Please pay attention to this. That doesn't mean when I say forget about it, it doesn't mean that it's going to go away by itself. But what I am saying, pay attention to God. Stop everything and focus. Get into your scriptures. Show God right then. Look, I have enough noise in my world that I'm dealing with. But let me put all that on pause and let me feed my soul. You might get a phone call. Some money then came in. Checking the mail didn't hit. Somebody want to send you some money. You don't know where it's coming from. I'm just telling you from experience. I'm telling you from experience. There is a power in you showing you that if you Become more conscious. You pay more respect. You pay more homage to your existence. Self-improvement. I'm going to stop cursing so much. I'm going to be conscious before I start speaking. I'm going to serve somebody. I'm going to help somebody with their groceries, or I'm going to I'm going through some financial crisis, but I got $4 or $5 in my pocket, and I see somebody on the side of the road saying that they need anything will help, and you give them that money. And when you give them that money to yourself, you say, all praise is due to Allah. If you're a Muslim, all praise to God, or all praise to the universe, or man. Watch that feeling, man. Watch what happened into your life. Y'all know when people bring us some juicy news about somebody else, how hard is it sometimes not to engage? It's hard, ain't it, sometimes? Somebody bring us some news. Man, so-and-so, so-and-so. What do? Man, for real. Man, that nigga. Oh, man, I knew she was. We engage. But what's going to happen when we don't even engage? What's going to happen when we're staying focused on self-improving? What's going to happen when we say, yeah, man, I don't have time. Man, I can't even, I don't even have nothing to say. I got enough that I'm dealing with in my own life that I'm trying to correct. Then what? Then what? The person who's bringing you the news, if they really have the good interest for you, if they really have a true, genuine love for you, they're going to see that you are in your space of protection and comfort, and they're going to respect that. And they're going to say, you know what, you're right. You right. But if they don't, if they get mad at you, oh, why you bringing me that? Why you oh, for real? I don't want to hear that. And the person who's bringing it get mad at you. Oh, you trying to act like you better than now. All of a sudden now you trying to do, man, you on some bullshit. What is your motive? Huh? What is your true intentions of being around me? Boy, they wasn't lying when they said misery loves company. They wasn't lying. As long as you can feed negativity, you don't ever have to do drugs by yourself. Y'all ever notice that? Person gets some drugs, they don't want to do them alone. They need they need an accomplice. Need to find you somebody so we can be guilty together. I can share my guilt. I can share. I got something on you. You got something on me. What protects that? Self-improvement. So was the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, was he lying when he came out inspired? Self-improvement. What's more better than self-improvement? What more medicine can you use better than self-improvement? Let's go on before I close. Before I close. The devil's suggestions always lead man to the disclosure of his shame. See, this is not for, this platform It's for us to reflect on ourselves. This platform is for us to reflect on striving to be the best person that we can be. Let them laugh. Let the people shoo in the whispers. All the stuff he used to do. Now he talking the word of God. All the stuff she used to do. Now they acting like they so godly now. Yeah. All praise be to Allah. Yeah. Yeah, that just means that I've come into my resurrection. I'm tired of letting myself down. When I know I can do better, I'm tired. I'm tired. The devil's suggestions always lead man to the disclosure of his shame. The consciousness of having done something unworthy of oneself is the surest way to the attainment of perfection. I'm going to read that again. So, brothers and sisters, all of the things that we've done in our life, when people try to make us remember our past and keep our past in front of us, the person who's doing that, they're really suffering. They're suffering worse than you're suffering. But they can hurt you by bringing things up in your past. But they think that you're not doing God a favor. You're not doing God a favor. All you're doing is making your heart more darker. And you're digging yourself a deeper, darker hole. And they're trapped in their misery. They're drowning in their own shame, in their own letdowns. And so it needs something to feed on. Don't let it get you. Don't let it get you. How do we protect it? How do we protect our peace? By self-improvement. Am I lying? We can't escape this one. We can't talk about, oh, that ain't my spiritual father, or this or that. That ain't my teacher, this and that. That's right. OG Bobby Jones say, you have to fight one way or another. You might as well fight for God. You better believe it. And how do you fight for God? By self-improvement, by fighting for yourself. It's a built-in system that God has given us when we came into existence. Self-improvement. The devil's suggestions always lead man to the disclosure of his shame. What does it mean by that? The devil suggestions. I suggest you do this. I suggest you do that. And it leads us to the disclosure of shame. Why did I do that? I shouldn't have did this. I shouldn't have did that. But even when we find ourselves doing that, look at God. Look at the essence of Allah. It's a built-in system. When we find ourselves on the wrong side of the track, now remember, punishment is not always bad. Punishment is not always chastisement. Pain is not always chastisement. That's what I meant. Punishment is punishment. Excuse me. Punishment is punishment. But pain is not always punishment. Pain is not always chastisement. Does that make sense? So Allah says, when you find yourself in a deeper ditch, when you find yourself being the one who's latching on, being the one causing the misery, because we've all been there too. Oh, we didn't think that we was going to get away from that. We always want to see ourselves as the victim. But the force in us has allowed us to be the one who's causing the hurt, the one who's causing the pain. We've been on both sides. We got to accept one, we got to accept the other. It's a two-way street. It's a two-way street. But look at what God does in closing. In closing. Look at what God does. Look at what Allah does. You on this side, you causing the misery, you hurting other people, I'm going to chastise you. Huh? But God doesn't leave it there. He doesn't leave you right there. He allow you a way out. Even when other people don't allow you a way out, God say, pay attention to me. Look at me. I'm going to give you a way out. Even though you've caused enough ruckus, I'm going to give you a way out to prove yourself. Because God wants everyone to know He's the reason. He's the power. Self-improvement. Who else can give us self-improvement? And the reward of self-improvement is success. So when so it talks about Moses reaching into his bosom and his hand coming out white. What does that mean? It means that when you reach into your bosom, you reach into your heart, God is allowing us to clean our heart. Time changes the heart. Time. It changes the heart. It turns us into new creatures. It talks about us entering the heavens, becoming new creatures. That's not talking about some abracadabra, spooky mystery stuff. It's talking about entering the heaven, a new way of thinking, a new mind, a new heart. And the heart that it's talking about is not talking about, oh, the heart that we think, oh, baby, I love you. No, it's talking about the heart, the circumcision of the heart, cleaning up the mind. Getting closer to God. Circumcision of the heart, cleaning up the heart. Cutting off the extra layers of skin that we don't need. That causes spiritual diseases, causes us to find ourselves in darker situations. All praise is due to Allah. So, brothers and sisters, as I close, I was inspired, man. I was inspired, brothers and sisters, to come up with this title, Spirituality is Having a Conscience of Natural Human Principles. And I wanted to go live and I wanted to share this because there is no way that we can trick ourselves in thinking that we're doing God justice. This and that. See, we can trick each other on social media. We can get on social media and trick each other all day to think that we're righteous. But all of us are going through some heavy situations. So I don't care what your title is. I don't care what you claim. I don't care how much money you have. The way that you protect yourself as God protects his natural self is through self-improvement. I don't care what you've done in your past. Self-improvement will bring you success. People want to bring up your past. Oh, that nigga used to do this. Oh, she used to do that. Yeah, but what is your condition? The person who's saying it. What state are you in? To be focused on them. What state are you in? See, God has his way of getting all of us. So God say the only way to escape your past is by self-improving. That's the only way you're going to escape your past is by self-improving. Let them all line up and say what you used to do. Let them all line up. This is why God says that if I'm with you, who can be against you? If you keep your focus on me, and the same people that try to dirt your name, throw you down and kick you while you're down and all this, God say, I will make them your footstool because they'll see your correction going forward. And then they'll start reflecting on how messed up their life is. And the pain and the misery and the grueling in them will break them down. And they'll see your life and they'll come back to you humble. And they'll ask you, how did you change? I'm tired. I'm suffering. How did you get to where you at? How did you get there? How did you do it? By self-improvement. By getting out of everybody else's way. Not even worrying about what anybody else is doing. By looking in the mirror and facing the things that is looking back. If there is anything that I've said, brothers and sisters, that have rubbed anybody the wrong way, that is not my true intention at all. That is not my true intention at all. But if there is something that I've said of benefit, understand that it comes directly from Allah through me. I am a student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and I'm striving to help him get our people raised in a resurrection. And I'm also trying to self-improve and correct myself. We can learn from one another. That's what we should be doing. We should be learning from one another. We land on the best part of ourselves, man. People say, oh, we need counseling. Yeah, but guess what? We can make it. How do you think people in the slave ships was making it? How do you think Harriet Tubman was able to get people across back and forth, back and forth? She was counseling them. You don't think she had some things messed up in her? But the best part of her was able to counsel. We got to counsel one another. But we have to make sure that the counseling that we're doing to one another is pure and it has a righteous intent, man. We have to want to see good for ourselves. That is the only way that we'll want to see good in others. We first must have to see it in ourselves. So with that being said, may Allah continue to bless every last one of you. Every last one of you, brothers and sisters. Again, I have a podcast with my brother Shinobi Muhammad from Mars 48 in Dallas, and it's called Meeting the FOY Podcast. Our first launch will be January the 14th. That'll be the first launch that we will be doing. And what this podcast consists of is Meeting the FOY Podcast, meaning the meaning of the FOY, us being trained to be civilized men, being able to understand the significance of between life and death, understanding how we coming out of this condition with one another, training the boys and training them up quickly to become men. At the same time, there's a lot of things that we've been through that we need help and assistance with. But this podcast, this platform is not to make fun of. It is for us to come as men and women to show God that we're striving to land on the best part of ourselves through the instructions and through the life-giving teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, guided and taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. That's what we're doing, family. That's what we're doing. That's where we're bringing traumas and things that we've been through. How can we bring these problems to solutions? Because the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan say, hell, how can we point fingers? How can we laugh when we were all taught by the same slave master? That's growth. That's called growth. We're not getting younger, we're getting older, man. And as we get older, we want to become more conscious and get closer to Allah, to align ourselves. So whenever our time is to check out of here, man, we can say that we gave it our all. We gave our best and left it to the generations to come so they can become gods at a younger age and be way more developed. It don't have to be your actual son. It don't have to be your actual daughter. All the young men and women are our daughters and sons. That's how we got to feel, man. That's how we got to feel. Shrinking yourself and extending yourself. Not a passion, but a purpose. So with that being said, may Allah continue to bless every last one of you. I greet you in the greeting words of peace, which we say in the Arabic language. Assalamu alaikum.
So I'm going to... Oh, no, I don't. Because when a slave came from Africa,